Hello everyone, how's it going? Today we're going to see how we can set up automatic and manual campaigns on Amazon ads without blowing our budget. If you stick around until the end of the video, I'll also show you a strategy that works really well for catching sales with a very small budget and a very low cost per click. Hello again, how are you? As I mentioned in the introduction, today we're going to look at how to set up campaigns on Amazon without throwing money away recklessly. Because yes, Amazon ads definitely works, but it can also be a black hole for losing money if we don't know what we're doing. In this video, you're going to learn several things: how to create those automatic and manual campaigns, how to choose the best keywords, how to adjust bids, how to set budgets, and most importantly, how to reduce spending without losing sales. And as I mentioned, at the end we'll look at a very simple strategy that works extremely well in automatic campaigns with a very low cost per click and a very high ROAS, or return on ad spend. In other words, launching a campaign where the clicks cost us very little and we get a very high return on that advertising investment and spend. Automatic campaigns versus manual campaigns. What is it that sets them apart from each other? Well, let's start with the basics. When to use one or the other. Automatic campaigns are like handing over your house keys or the steering wheel to Amazon. They will decide who sees your products, whether by targeting other product listings or by targeting keywords that are automatically entered into the system, causing your ad or your listing to appear for certain keywords. What are they for? Well, they're useful for discovering new keywords, seeing which terms bring clicks and sales, and launching products without breaking your head over it. That's if you don't know what you're doing, if you already know your niche, if you've already done keyword research with Helium 10, Jungle Scout, Data Life, AMZS Scout, or any other tool, you can go straight to creating manual campaigns and leave the automatic ones just for discovery. But if it's your first time on Amazon, your first product, and you're not really sure how a manual campaign works or how to do keyword research, you can launch an automatic campaign to start catching those first sales linked to keywords or competitor products. On the other hand, manual campaigns are for when you already have data. As I was saying, you get to choose the keywords, match type, exact bid, and so on. It's true that they require more work, especially beforehand, knowing your product, your niche, creating a keyword map, doing keyword research. But it's also true that the return, if you do things right, is usually much higher than with automatic campaigns. Think of automatic campaigns like going out to hunt ducks. You have no idea how to hunt ducks. You go to an area where you know there are ducks, start shooting into the air, and if you hit one, well, you hit one. With manual campaigns, you already know where the best ducks are. You know they're going to be wandering around. There, you know that. With one or two shots, at the very least, you're going to hit one or at least graze it, and that you have a good chance of ending up catching a duck and being able to make a good meal. Therefore, manual campaigns give you better control and better results. A piece of advice: if you don't know what you're doing, as I mentioned before, always start with automatic campaigns. Analyze the search term report and move the keywords that convert well to a manual campaign. What keyword strategy should you follow? Well, let's see how we can target those keywords from a manual campaign or from an automatic campaign. There are three types of match, which are basically the ones you can find in most online advertising systems: broad, phrase, and exact. Broad match is very flexible. It shows your ads even if the search isn't an exact match. It's good for discovery, but it can also attract traffic that doesn't convert well. It's true that no matter how broad you set a keyword, Amazon won't show your product in a search that's very far from that search intent. If, for example, you're advertising a pencil case for school and you use the keyword pencil case, it won't show up in generic searches for pencil case within a category that has nothing to do with, say, school or office, because Amazon already knows that the intent behind your product listing is to buy a pencil case for school, for the office, or to carry some kind of drawing utensils, and so on. Phrase match. This is triggered if the user searches for that specific phrase, even if there are other words before or after it in the search. And exact match, which is my favorite because it targets the user's search intent most precisely, is only shown when the user searches for exactly the word you have chosen. So if you want to get straight to the point, exact match is what will best deliver the user's specific search intent. How do we organize it? Well, you can use automatic and broad campaigns to discover phrases, to test, and also get conversions and exact match to scale what you already know works. Super important, negative targeting. Negative targeting is half the work. If you're running advertising campaigns on Amazon, and if you don't use negative targeting, your budget will slip away. Add as negative the keywords that get a lot of clicks, but zero sales. Don't hesitate, because those are budget black holes. There's the classic rule: if it has more than 20 clicks and doesn't convert, pause the keyword. Well, it's a rule, and it can be applied broadly, let's say, to any campaign. But ideally, you should study your niche, analyze the conversion rate for your product and for competitors' products, and from there estimate roughly how many clicks you need to get a sale. Just like you can estimate how many impressions you need to get a click based on the CTR rate. If you already have some data from competitors, either from Amazon itself or from external tools, and you know the conversion rate of those products, you can estimate roughly how many clicks you will need to achieve a conversion. Obviously, you need to apply that to your own product. If your product doesn't have a competitive price, your listing isn't well optimized, or you handle your own fulfillment and ship in 3 to 5 days while all your competitors are in the Prime program, or you have bad reviews, then your conversion rate is not going to be anywhere near the average for your niche. Bids and budget. Let's talk about money. How much should you bid? How much should you invest? First, don't use the suggested bid without checking. Amazon always tends to set it high. Start with bids between 20 and 50 euro cents and adjust according to the CTR, the click-through rate, which is the ratio between the number of times your ad appears, impressions, and the clicks it generates. And also, keep in mind, once you have your first sales, the conversion rate, which is the ratio of people who visit your product page versus the orders it generates. If you have a good CTR but aren't making sales, it could be that the product isn't convincing enough, or that you're showing up in searches that aren't relevant. The second situation can happen, but we'll know right away, because just by using common sense and looking at which searches are showing up in the automatic campaigns versus what I'm actually selling, we'll see that the product really doesn't fit in at all. What minimum price do we recommend? Well, this really depends on your own budget, the niche you're in, and how competitive it is. In the end, this is a bidding system where there is supply and demand, and the more advertisers there are bidding for the same keyword or the same segment, the higher the cost per click goes, and therefore the more budget you'll need. Can you start with 10 or 20 euros per day per campaign? Yes, but you need to quickly assess if you're running out of impressions, if you're not getting any clicks. It depends on the approach you take with your campaign spending. What bidding strategy should we use? Well, if you're just starting out, I would say always go for down only. Only down, so you don't overspend. If you already have some experience, try both up and down key adjustments in exact campaigns that you know generate sales. And above all, remember, don't put your entire budget into a single campaign. Diversify and leave some room for testing. How can you reduce useless ad spending? Well, here's where it gets good. How do we avoid burning through that budget? you should know that Amazon advertising is obviously not a charity, and it survives on what it collects from clicks. So if you don't keep an eye on things, you can obviously end up overspending. What can you do? Review the search term report every week. Is there a keyword with more than 20 clicks and not a single sale? Then we negative it. Pause it, or do both. Group products by profitability. Invest more in those with better margins and turnover. You don't have to promote the entire catalog all the time. There are product listings that are better off. Left to die in peace. Create a campaign with a fixed budget just for testing, and another one for pure performance to drive sales. That way, you'll know where you're investing wisely. And now, let's move on to the bonus. It's a strategy that Elizabeth Green shared in my newsletter, but actually it's quite old, and it's called the Catch-All Auto Campaign. It's like when you go out to catch Pokemon and you have to catch them all, but in an automatic campaign. This campaign is one of the simplest and most effective things you can do. How can we set it up? We create an automatic sponsored products campaign, and we're going to call it Catch All Auto or Catch Them All. You can name it however you like. Use only dynamic bids, down only, to keep your cost per click low. Add all your products to the same ad group. And yes, you heard me right, all of them. This usually works better with large catalogs. It's not the same to add 10 SKUs as it is to add 1,000 SKUs. Start with a low daily budget, around 10 to 15 euros a day, and with low bids, 35 euro cents or less, depending on your average cost per click. If your average cost per click is 15 cents, then set it at 15 cents or less. How are we going to maintain and scale it? Well, if it's working well, don't raise the bids, just increase the budget. Add exact negative keywords to avoid clicks that don't convert. If you're not meeting your ALCOS targets, the advertising cost of sale, right? Lower your bids and set a bid cap so you don't overspend and can keep low-cost traffic. What will we achieve with this? Very cheap clicks and conversions that will have a very high ROAS. Easy, right? So now you know, set it up, keep your bids low, and increase the budget as you start seeing results. And that's all for this video from Amazon Ads Education. Basically, what we've covered is what types of campaigns there are, manual and automatic, what each of them can do, how to set them up, what parameters they have. And also a really cool trick, the Catch-All Campaigns bonus for automatic campaigns. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next Amazon Ads Education videos. See you next time.